Okay, so this is my first tutorial on this look. I've got some screenshots that I took while I was doing this set so that you can see when I'm explaining in the video, you'll be able to see what I mean and what it actually looks like while you're doing it, so that you can sort of go, oh right, it's meant to look this messy. Yeah, trust the process with these. I'm hoping this video will cut out weeks and months, possibly, depending on how quick you are, depending on how much you're working to create this look, because it took me forever. So when I finally figured it out and it was working every time I did this, used this technique, I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to show you for free because I'm nice. I knew what I wanted the lash sets to look like, and I knew what I definitely didn't want. I did not want that flat line at the top, you know? I wanted it to be wispy all the way through, but I could not get the answers and I could not figure out how to do it. There was just no information. It was just so annoying. So I had to figure it out myself, but it took me freaking ages, months and months of doing sets, looking in the mirror thinking, right, I've got this, and then they open their eyes and it's like, I'm like, oh, for sake, you know? So I'm really hoping this is going to be super helpful. If it is, please let me know. Please, I'd love to know if watching this is helping you with your sets. I'd love that. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be doing lots of videos like this, lots of tutorials, breaking it right down. So pick a picture, whatever you want me to recreate, and I will recreate it. I won't speed anything up. I will slow it right down. Okay, so here's my little eye diagram. So nose, eyebrow, that's your eye shut. In the picture that I'm going to be recreating, the girl had really thick, long eyelashes. So obviously that made it loads easier. So I'm going to recreate exactly what I did using the same lengths, the same widths, the same dimensions. And then you can just adjust this according to who is in front of you. So you may want to take the length down, you may want to take how many lashes you're picking up down to like a 3 or a 4D instead of a 5 or a 6D. You may want to use a thinner lash, you know, but the concept of the way that we're doing it is still the same. So on her, I started with 15 millimeters long, narrow fans of about 5-6D, and I put one here, 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 and then about a full, and then I dropped down to a 14 on the inner corner, so I've got a 14 about here. So 15 all the way through, and a 14 in the inner corner. And this starts helping me to map. So I don't ever write on my pad here what I'm mapping out because I want the mapping to be sort of more sporadic. So this is acting as my map, and now that's all I need to know. So the next thing I'm going to do is each one of these narrow fans needs to be backed up by another narrow fan, but not of the same length, otherwise you're going to start making it blocky. You want to make it wispy. Is to just go to the right hand side of this narrow fan, your next biggest lash. So around this one you're going to have big ones and small ones. So get your next biggest lash, and that will either be right next to it or just behind it, or just underneath it, you know, but your next biggest lash near it, we're going to go with a 14. And to the right. So your next one, same thing, 14. Next biggest lash. Same thing all the way through. And then you get here, you're going to make that one a 13. And then we're going to go to the left hand side. And the same thing, next biggest lash. So ignore any babies that are going on around these ones. We're going to go with a 13. To the right. So if your glue dries fairly quickly, this should work out for you. If not, go to the other eye and then come back. 13. 13. So the reason I did it like this is just keep it super simple for yourself so that you remember, because you haven't, and obviously that one's a 12. You haven't drawn out a map, so you're creating your own map. So here we've got our spikes. Okay, I think in the picture I might have 7, so I might just space them a bit closer together. That's not important. You could have just 4, or you could have just 3 spikes, you know. It doesn't really matter. I'd never tend to put a spike near here, because around here you've got to keep this part, at least this section. I always go with at least 2 millimeters shorter than your very longest length. So that's my rule to myself, is to go 2 millimeters shorter on the outer corner. So this section, just 13s. And this is something that's obviously in my head as I'm going through. And then what I'm going to do is start to fill the eye with a regular pattern. So I'm going to fill it in nice and short here, probably a 9. So maybe a 9 there, to a 10. That's a 10. And then 11. And then we're just going to go 12 all the way through. So 12s all the way through, just to start creating a bit of volume. And then we want to step back and get your mirror and check in your mirror where we're at. So you're gonna, if you're filling in these sections with 12s, you're 100% going to see these spikes still, because the only way you see these spikes is if you take this section down here at least 2 millimeters again, 2 to 3 millimeters. So that's why after I've created the spikes, I drop right the way down to a 12 if I'm starting from a 15. And then I can still see the spikes when I look in the mirror, and I can see, right, now I want to start blending the spikes in, or I need to start adjusting things. So as we're starting to get a bit of volume coming through, I've checked in the mirror, and now I want to start adding a few 13s to break up these 12s, because otherwise you're going to start having that going on. You don't want that. So I'm going to put 13s here, 13s here, maybe just one there, one there, and then as you get through here you need to obviously drop it down. So now it's looking a bit messy, but as long as you start 15, 14, 13 for your spikes, now we've got to drop it down to fill to a 12 to see those spikes still. And now to start blending the spikes in a little bit, we're going to create more length in between the spikes with your 13s. And in between the 13s, or next to the 13s, if you can remember where you're at, just add the odd 14. So you can add the odd 14 wherever you want. You'll start to get a feel for it. And then we're going to keep looking in the mirror, see where we're going. If you feel like you're losing the density in your spikes, you want to pull your head back so you can see right down the eye, or you can again use your mirror so you can see where your spikes are at, and then you can get in between each one of these spikes and get the little babies that are there and create more narrow fans. So anything you're putting near these spikes, we want narrow fans. And they're going to help to make these fans dense. Now in between all of this, you're going to have baby hairs right the way through, all the way through, baby hairs. To get that lash line nice and black, I normally put on those, depending obviously on how thin or thick, long, short they are. I'm dropping it right down to maybe a 10, 9, 10. You know, this girl could handle an 11, 12 on her little baby lashes. And that creates this blackness all the way through. So we want volume fans where we want to create the volume throughout the set. And we want dense, narrow fans on your spikes. So now I'm doing these sets all the time. I don't really need to put the wisps as such in because I sort of know where I'm going with it. It's almost like a second nature to me now. So you don't have to think, right, the next thing to do is this and the next thing to do is that, and blah, blah, blah. It will come to you quickly. It didn't take me long to sort of keep it in my head that, right, the spikes need backing up, and then after the spikes get backed up by your 14s and your 13s, you're just filling it in, checking in the mirror every sort of like 10 minutes, and then seeing where you're at with it. You want to create density and volume at the same time. So narrow fans, wide fans, and just keep going back and checking that you're not losing these spikes, because if you put a 14 or a 13 too near your spike, that spike's going to be gone and it will just blend in with everything else. So either side of these spikes, you want your 12s. You want that to drop right down so that they can be seen. But I always keep an eye on this inner corner because you don't want anything too long, too near the nose. So just check in your mirror where you're at. And if you feel like this part's getting a bit flat on the top line, then just pop a 13 in. So the last thing you want to do for your clients is flat line them. So that's when they open their eyes, or they look into them, or you're looking into the mirror, and that top line is like poker straight. I don't think that looks very natural at all. It's too harsh. So that's why I really like to try and create this wispy effect. I hope I've explained that clearly enough. If there are any questions or anything that I've not explained in detail enough, then just drop a comment and I'll get back to you straight away with the answers. And then just fill it in any other lashes left over, lash them to what that lash can take, and then they will be wispy. And that is how I create the wispy looks. I will add a picture of this diagram to my Facebook page, so I will put the name of it in the description below, but it's just Loft Lashes by Jojo. All my social media is the same, Loft Lashes by Jojo. So that's Facebook, Instagram, and obviously YouTube. Thank you for watching. Please show me some love. Until the next video.